Hi everyone and welcome to Teacher Gully Library. My name is Selena. Thank you so much for tuning in from home today on how to use the Libby app on your device. What I'm going to first off show you is how to download the app on your device. So I have an iPad in front of me, so I will be using the App Store, but if you have any other iPhone or Apple device, you can also use the App Store. If you have an Android device, you'll be looking for the Play Store. That'll be the icon you're looking for. So I'll head over into the App Store now. And I'm going to search. I know with the Androids, the search are often at the top bar, but for the iPad, it's on the bottom right here, search. And I'm just going to type in Libby and search. Great, so the first thing that's come up is Libby by Overdrive. So that's the one I'm looking for. So I'm just going to hit the little cloud to download it there. On an Android, it should just say install or download. Great, the internet's working really quick for me today, so that is ready to open as it says open. You know it's the right app when you see it's the maroon background with a little girl hidden behind the book there. So that's the one we're looking for, so I'm going to go open now. Great, and just give it a minute at this point. Cool, so what it's asking for me is, do I have a library card? So if you do, you hit yes. If you don't, you can click not yet, but I'm going to hit yes. And I'm going to also search for my library. You can get the device to guess the library for you, but I think it might just be easier to search. And I'm going to go there and I'm going to type in Tea Tree Gully. And search. Great. So the first thing that's come up is Tea Tree Gully. So I'll click on that. And I want to enter library account details. So here is where you enter in your library card number. Oops. And your PIN number. So often your PIN number is the last 4 digits of your phone number, but it might be something else. And if it's not the last 4 digits of your phone number and you don't know what it is, give us a call and we're more than happy to help you out with that one. Great, so it's found me. I'm just going to go next. Cool, so this is what the app looks like from its home screen. So the first bit I want to point out is the search for a book function here. So that's your search function. If you want to find something specific, I would recommend just searching for it at the top. So if I want to go the girl on the train, great. And it's coming up that for me. Cool. So that's the best way to search for something specifically. I would also recommend just scrolling through, just having a quick look through. So for me, you can see the options. We can look specifically at what's new. We can also look at what's popular and also what's available. So sometimes what's new and what's popular isn't always available. So if you're wanting something to read straight away, you would want to go what's available. But yeah, often the what's new and what's popular are really popular. So we can go through that in a minute. I'll just scroll through. These are just added books. You can also search through with your preference of genre. So if you prefer fantasy, you can hit on fantasy. And that'll take you through some items. And I'm just going to go back. I'll keep scrolling down just to give you an idea what it looks like at the moment. Home and gardening is probably really popular. Mental health and well-being, cookbooks, home learning. This will be a good one if you got your kids at home and you're homeschooling them at the moment. The stuff around Anzac Day, I Choose Essay. There's some really good stuff, so I'd recommend you just scrolling through and having a look really. But what I'll do, and one of the things I do recommend when you're searching for something, is to change your preferences. So I'm going to go to that. So say, for instance, I want to look at just audiobooks. I will change the format from any to audiobooks. I might also change the language to English because I'm monolingual, but if you can speak another language, go for it. Audience, I might just go general content. Compatibility, I would leave that one at Libby. If you click on it, you will see Kindle is an option, but that is a trick. It's not actually an option in Australia. So I would just keep your compatibility there at Libby. Availability, I'm going to change that to available now. So I'm going to show you how to borrow something that is available now. If I were to go everything, I might have to place a hold on something instead of borrowing it. So I'm going to apply those preferences and just wait for it to load. Cool. So these are just added audiobooks. I can just explore audiobooks from here. I might look at audiobooks in the romance section. Cool. The Bride Test. Let's borrow that one. So here it's coming up with you're borrowing the Bride Test for 21 days. So if I want to change that, I can change that to 7 days or to 14 days. I might change it to 7. And I'm just going to check here that this is the right library card number. So if you've only added in one library card, then that's fine. You probably don't need to check. But if you're using a device that other people in your household are also using, so mum and dad and your kids all are using this one, say, iPad, but you've all got different library cards, just check that this is the right one. So I know that's the right one, so I'm going to go borrow. Cool. So at this point, I want to just, I can keep browsing, but for the sake of this, I'm going to go open audiobook. And it's just loading, as you can see here. Cool. So I'll show you what that looks like when I play.
Presents The Bride Test by Helen Wong, narrated by Emily Rizal.
And I can even fast forward a little bit there now. I've fast forwarded to chapter 7.
Events and whatever random things were going
Great.
on in her head.
I might pause that. I'll take you over to the top right hand side here with the 3 lines. You can move your chapters, as you could see before, you can move it down here. But if you want to, say for instance you've read only half this book before and you know you're up to chapter 9, you can just skip ahead to chapter 9 and then hit play. And it will load a little bit first, but it'll play. Great. You can also change the speed. So this is operating at 1 times, but you can increase it. So if you want to get through something really quickly, you can increase it to 2 times the speed. And you have to listen really carefully, but you can do that if you like. There's also bookmarks. So we're in chapter 9. I can make a note in chapter 9 and just say funny. You know, say for instance, I'm in a book club and I want to tell everyone that this section in chapter 9 was funny. And I can save that. Cool. Excellent. So what I'm going to show you now is I'm going to go back into the library, and again, I might change my preferences now to something that isn't an audiobook, but just an ebook. And instead of something that's available now, I want to go everything, and I want to apply my preferences. And I'm just going to find, I'm going to go what's popular. Right. Jessica Simpson's Open Book. So this one's really popular at the moment. So all our copies are being borrowed. So if I want to place a hold, I can go place hold. Now, if you place a hold on this title, it should be ready for you to borrow in about 8 weeks. So what that's saying is there are 11 copies in use and there are 43 people waiting in total, which means there are 4 people waiting per copy. So you might decide, oh, that's too many, and so you might just go back into what's popular. But you might say, yep, no, I'm happy to wait, and go place hold. And just to give it a second. Cool. And that's we've placed it on hold. So great. I'm going to go back, and I might go back again, and I might change my preference again. Instead of availability being everything, I want to see what's available now in the eBooks and apply my preferences. And I'm just going to scroll down into fantasy, for instance, and I might borrow, let's borrow Frankenstein, and I'll just hit borrow. Again, I can change this to say 14 days, check the library card's mine, yep, borrow. Cool, and I might open this book just to have a quick look. And this gives you an idea of what it looks like to read the audiobook. You just scroll through. Great. Just by tapping the screen, it sort of gives you the options or not. So I'm going to tap. And I'm just going to quickly show you, again, these 3 bars. And I'm going to show you the reading settings. This is one that's really important to note. If you would like the font to be larger, you can just change it here. Move it all the way up. Or if you'd like it to be smaller, you can go smaller as well. But for the sake of this, I might just go large. You can also change the lighting to bright, dark. So there are just some options there. These may be applicable to you as well. So it's just worth having a look at the reading settings. You can also search the chapters like before and make a note in the bookmark section. But yeah, that might just be easier to read on the eyes. Great. Cool. So I'll head back to the library. So now that I've got my books checked out, one of the things is worth noting is your shelf. So I'll go to shelf. Right. So right now I am reading Frankenstein, and I've recently loaned those 2. Great. Oh, I can also look at my holds here. These are my holds. Now, if I decide with my holds I want to suspend them or cancel my hold, I can click either of those buttons. So I might go suspend hold. And so what that means is basically if you've been waiting for a title for quite some time. So this one, as I mentioned, is quite popular. So say you've waited 5 weeks for it and you're getting close to the top of the queue. But suddenly you're starting to get super busy and you're not going to be able to find the time to read or listen to an audiobook. So you can suspend your hold, and you might say, I'm going to suspend it for 30 days, or 180 days, 30 days, because there's no way in the next 30 days you're going to be ready, but it'll keep your place in the queue. So you can update your hold like that. Cool. I'm going to go back to my shelf. Now you can also manage your holds. I'm going to manage a hold on this one and just cancel it altogether. So if you decided, you know what, I don't want to read this anymore, and just cancel hold. And that's really good because if there are other people waiting for that item, then you don't have to worry about it. If you do have an item on hold, you will be notified when it is ready to be borrowed. Great. So let's go back to your shelf. With your loans, you can also manage your loan. So I'm going to go there, and you can return early. Now you can see here one person is waiting for this item. So I'm going to return that early and just go return. So that person is now being notified that this item is now available. And I'm going to go back to my shelf. Manage my loan. Again, I can return early. Someone is waiting for it, so I'm going to return. Cool. And look at recent returns, that comes in there. I can also see my timeline. And see, when I borrowed things, I returned this 6 days early. Great. I borrowed this one. I placed a hold on this one. So you can see your timeline there. I'll go back to my shelf. Again, I can look at my holds. I can look at my loans. That's all what's going on with me. Again, I'll go back into the library. And it's also worth noting that if you have an ebook or you've borrowed an ebook or an audio book, that it will automatically expire once you have reached its due date. So you don't actually need to do anything, but you can, as I've pointed out, you can return it earlier if you like. Great. And just the last thing I wanted to point out as well is this little icon at the top here. It's telling me I've got 4 notifications, and I can look at them through here. But I'm just going to ignore them for now. Here is a place where you can see your library card. So that's my library card. And I can also add another card. So as I mentioned before, if you've got several people in the one household using the one device, but they have more than one library card, you can add another library card and just follow the prompts there. But if not, you can just keep using the one library card. If you're having any issues with the app, I would recommend you go into this section and go get some help. There is some really good help on offer with the Libby app, but you're also more than welcome to give us a call here at Teacher Gully Library. We're happy to help where we can. But yeah, I just recommend just having a scroll through the Libby app and just having a look through what you like. I think the best way to search for something is definitely through the preferences here, where you can determine if you just want a book or an audiobook or both. The language is obviously really good. You don't want to be looking at something, unless you're trying to learn a language, you don't want to be looking at something that you're not going to understand. And that's always good. And making sure you hit apply preferences. But that's really all for today. So I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you've learned a thing or two about the Libby app. But once again, please feel free to give us a call if you do have any questions.